In the yoga tradition, this brilliant 2,000-year-old tradition really figured out that human beings have different temperaments and therefore enter into spirituality through different doorways. And in the yoga tradition, there are basically 5 different doorways that you can enter into that over time have been developed into very sophisticated paths. Even though they're all linked and in many cases very similar, they appeal to people of different temperaments. The path of action is one of those 5 paths. So there's the path of the heart, there's the path of bhakti, there's the path of jnana yoga, which is the path of intellectual discernment. There's the path of Raja Yoga, which is, I call it the depth psychology path. It's really the path of meditation, but it's a systematic investigation of human motivation and perception and the way human beings are structured. There's the path of Karma Yoga, which is, of course, the path of action. And finally, there's the path of the body, the path of Hatha Yoga. So in the path of action, and this was a brilliant path that really was fully explicated in the Bhagavad Gita about the 2nd century before the Common Era. So we're talking about 2,000 years ago now. This brilliant scripture was written that describes a way to live a spiritual life in the world. That is to say, at work and at home as a non-monk or a non-ascetic. Keep in mind that prior to this time, prior to the Bhagavad Gita, a spiritual life was quintessentially seen to be a life of renunciation, a life of asceticism. Now you have this new path, this new way of living a spiritual life in the world. The path of action, the path of Karma Yoga. It's also called the path of service. And the idea here was from the beginning that every one of us has a call, a sacred duty, a vocation to be someone in the world. But the only way we can really fulfill that call is by being exactly who we are, our idiosyncratic genius. And the call, the responsibility in this particular path is to name and claim your own idiosyncratic genius, your own idiosyncratic combination of skills and gifts. And then to spend your life really exploring that and manifesting it. This is the path of action. And of course, it was expounded by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna who's actually God in disguise, expounded by Krishna to Arjuna over the course of this beautiful 18-chapter treatise. And in the course of that, Krishna teaches Arjuna the 4 pillars of the path of action really are, number 1, discern your calling, discern your vocation in the world, discern your sacred duty. And of course, these things can change. You can have multiple sacred duties or sacred duties that change over time. But the first pillar of his teaching was find out exactly what it is that's calling to you. What's your duty? Secondly, do it full out. Bring everything you've got to it. Don't leave anything on the table. This is called the doctrine of unified action. Third, let go of the outcome. This is called the relinquishment of the fruits, and this is the most difficult of these 4 pillars. Let go of the outcome. Krishna says to Arjuna, whether you succeed or fail is not your business. The only question is, have you found your calling? And in Sanskrit, the word is Dharma, your calling. And are you doing it full out? Let go of the fruit. And then the 4th pillar is, Krishna says, turn all of your actions over to me. That is, surrender this whole path to God. So this path, like many of those other 5 that I talked about, are wrapped around in this relationship to the divine, to God. So Krishna says, let this whole path live in the relationship between the individual human being and the divine. And it's a brilliant, beautiful path, the path of action. I teach about it a lot. I've written about it in The Great Work of Your Life. And actually, I live it because I discovered not long after I moved to Kripalu that my real calling was as a writer. You know, I have this whole lineage of writers in my family. My grandfather was a writer, my mother was a writer. And so I kind of grew up with it, and it was there, but I didn't recognize it until I got to Kripalu and had some quiet time to really investigate. And so for the last 25 years, I've really been living the path of karma yoga. Particularly, I've also tested out and tried out all these other paths as well. And there are places in which they potentiate one another, they support one another. But for me, my heart is really in the path of action, because my calling, my idiosyncratic gifts are as a writer. And that's where I feel called to bring everything I've got. How do you do this? How do you live your Dharma? One thing I've discovered is that most of really living out your Dharma is creating the right conditions on a daily basis for it to emerge. So for me, my motto, for example, around my writing, which is my Dharma, is, my motto is this: suit up and show up. And what that means is my effort goes into showing up at my writing desk every morning at 9 o'clock in good shape, not hungover from a whole bunch of chocolate ice cream the night before, not grasping particularly to some exalted outcome that day, but just to creating the conditions so that I show up in good shape at my desk. I sit down and I have a deal with myself. I write unless I really don't want to write that day. And it almost never happens that once I get to my desk and sit down that I don't want to write. It's interesting because in a different path, the path of meditation, I know a lot of people who have the same kind of approach. Suit up and show up. Get to your meditation mat every day. Sit down. If you don't want to meditate, that's fine. Just get there and sit down. Now, it turns out that usually you do want to meditate. Usually I do want to write. But when you're doing your Dharma, it feels like a craft. It feels much more like a craft than like a crazy, fantastic art form, in the sense that it's very workmanlike. Every day you do your little piece. It's kind of like building a cathedral. You don't really know how it's going to look when it's done, but every day you do your little piece. And that's okay, and that's all you have to do. All you have to do is suit up in good shape. Because when you're doing your Dharma, don't forget that it's actually coming through you. You know, Krishna talks about the fact that when we've identified our Dharma, we are actually not the doer of the Dharma. We're a kind of channel for these gifts and possibilities that live in us that we're not the author of. We're simply the guardians, the custodian of that. So your job is to take care of yourself. You have a responsibility to your gifts. And to the extent that you're responsible in your life to your gifts by how you take care of yourself, how you eat, how you breathe, how you organize your life, then you will be an effective channel for that Dharma. You don't have to make it happen. You just have to let it happen. And honestly, I can say to you in all truthfulness that there are days when I come home from writing and I'll say to my friend Susie, with whom I live, I don't know where that came from today. It did not come from me. I just created the conditions and opened to it. So the yoga of action of karma yoga is organized around these four great pillars. Discern your Dharma, find out your calling. Secondly, do it full out. Third, let go of the fruits. And finally, turn the whole thing over to God.